Grandson finds box in attic, calls authorities. Adam stands frozen in his tracks as he stares inside the trunk. His hands start to tremble while every thought imaginable stirred in his mind. How was this possible? His grandfather was a kind man. He was a goofy man who loved nothing more than making people smile. None of this made any sense. But then suddenly, Adam saw something else inside the trunk and a shiver ran up his spine. It was at that moment Adam realized his grandfather wasn't the man he thought he was. Far from it. As kids, Adam Smith and his sister, Louise, idolized their grandfather Sean. He was kind, funny, a real gentleman, and he always showered his grandkids with love and affection. But despite his funny and outlandish behavior, there was something sinister hiding behind this grandfather's goofy smile. You see, Adam and Louise's grandfather had fought in the Pacific Theater during World War II, so he had a lot of wild tales to tell. But as he got older, his optimistic and goofy personality had started to dwindle away. Instead, he became angry and volatile. There was a dark side to Adam and Louise's grandfather that they never knew about. Until now. For as long as they could remember, Adam and Louise were told plenty of outlandish stories from their grandfather. Whether he was tucking them into their bed or babysitting them on their summer break, their grandfather loved to tell wild and crazy stories about his past. Still, it never crossed their minds that he was telling the truth. He was just entertaining them, right? For example, when Adam and Louise were young, their grandfather used to claim that he'd found a magical medicine that would cure every disease known to man. He also used to say he would use it on all those who harmed him. The children ravished the story and their grandfather's descriptive storytelling. Sometimes it was the only story they'd ever let him tell, but they never took it seriously. Until now. After their grandfather passed away, Adam and Louise were tasked with cleaning his attic. Louise was hesitant at first, but she soon agreed, hoping to find some sentimental pieces. The two grandkids figured they'd find nothing really of value until they made a startling discovery inside a trunk that changed everything they thought they knew about their grandfather. Adam and Louise arrived at their grandfather's home, and nostalgia hit them like a ton of bricks. Adam saw the backyard, where his grandfather taught him how to ride a bike, while Louise saw the kitchen, where he taught her how to make his world-famous chicken soup. Adam and Louise smiled at each other and made their way to the attic to start the cleanup. But they had no idea what was coming. Climbing inside the attic, Adam felt a shiver in his spine. He looked around and reached for the light switch and pulled it. The attic lit up and Adam let out a sigh seeing all the boxes up there. It was going to be a tough job. Louise soon followed, and she climbed into the attic to start the cleanup. But then they saw something across the room. And for a strange reason, it left an uneasy feeling in the pits of their stomachs. There in the corner was a trunk marked with Japanese characters. Louise noticed how it was completely covered in dust. Dirt and grime clung to it, just like how she once clung to her grandfather's chest. Something about this box didn't sit right with Adam and Louise. Something was telling them to look inside. But they were not prepared to find what they did. As Adam and Louise didn't speak any Japanese, they used the internet to help translate the text on the trunk. The two siblings found that it said something about natural gas used for medical supplies. Adam and Louise were stumped. They looked at the trunk with confusion. Then, without a second to waste, Adam opened the trunk. Inside the trunk, Adam saw several boxes and bottles of pills that were stacked together. Each bottle and box of pills inside was labeled with Japanese text that neither Adam nor Louise could understand. Adam knew he had to test a medicine himself. It was a risky move, but it couldn't be harmful, right? While his sister begged him not to, Adam popped a pill, chucked it to the back of his throat, and took a big gulp. Thankfully, the first medicine he tried was merely medicine that contained gum glucose liquid, which is used to help raise blood sugar. And the other pills that followed were also perfectly fine. One was a pain reliever that predated aspirin, while another was a pill containing caffeine. But then he came across a suspiciously looking purple liquid. Just as Adam was about to taste the purple liquid, his sister stopped him. And it was a good job. You see, the liquid contained bromicivil, an over-the-counter Japanese compound that has serious effects. Not only a sedative, but this liquid was also hypnotic. But there were other supplies hidden inside this chest. There was a broken flashlight, a mask, and 2 kerosene bottles. Adam still continued to look through the trunk, and that was when he stumbled across a mysterious note. Adam picked up the crumpled note and saw it was in Japanese. He quickly Googled and translated it to adrenaline, novocaine, atropine. Adam looked at his sister, and a shiver ran up his spine. Why would their grandfather have these? Why would he own medicine that had the potential to cause horrifying hallucinations? They were both thinking the same thing, but they both dared to admit it. While every thought imaginable stirred in their minds, Adam and Louise decided they had to get to the bottom of their discovery once and for all. With his hands shaking, Adam picked up his cell phone and called the authorities. But he had no idea what they were going to say. Ultimately, the authorities didn't pay Adam's story any attention as their grandfather had passed away. So Adam did a little research himself. And to his disappointment, the medical chest wasn't actually worth much. But it sure did have a sentimental meaning to Adam and his sister. If anything, finding this trunk had given them a new perspective into the crazy life their grandfather lived. Thank you for watching this fantastic story. Please tap one of the 2 videos on your screen for another amazing wonder stories.